My name is Vava Tampa. I'm Congolese, and I run a campaign called Save the Congo. And Congo is this massive, huge, gigantic country in Central Africa. It's essentially the size of Western Europe. From the east, Lake Kivu is in the east, to the shores of the Atlantic in the west is equivalent to the distance from London to Moscow. It's amazingly huge. Incredibly, Congo was the first colony, the first Western colonies. Without Congo, there might have never been colonizations, because it was when Leopold II, the King of Belgium, sent Henry Morton Stanley, a Scottish guy, to Congo and began sort of colonizing Congo. That Western country almost started the fight. And the First World War almost began back in the 19th centuries. And then there was this guy, the German Chancellor, who decided to call all the other major powers in Europe, 14 of them, to sit down, sign the treaty, and then divide Africa amongst the Western countries. And so Congo is amazingly significant to all of us. And for the past 10 or so years, there has been this conflict which has been going on. For some reason, it doesn't make it to the front page, to the newspapers or the evening news. But it's the deadliest conflict in the world. It has claimed more people than any other conflict since World War II. An estimate put the numbers at 5.4 million people killed, and that 5.4 million figures dates back to 2007. And the UN essentially says that approximately about 1,500 people are killed every single day because of the conflict. And that conflict has two causes. So if we are to be in humanitarian sense, there are four reasons, four things that are driving this conflict. We call them the 4 I's. And those 4 I's are impunity, insecurity, illicit trade of minerals, which is on mobile phones, and institutional failure. Impunity in the sense that everyone who is someone in the Congolese army has committed some sort of atrocities against the people, has killed thousands of people, or ordered the rapes of thousands of women. Insecurity in the sense that Congo does not have an army, and what you call the Congolese army essentially is a grouping of different militia gangs that have been brought together under certain peace deals and so forth. Illicit trade in the sense to run a militia gangs or a rebellions, you need money. And Congo has more gold, more diamonds, more copper, more any other natural resources than any other country in Africa. It has a huge, massive reserve of natural resources, and the current one, the one which militia gangs are fighting over, is called coltan. And coltan is amazingly essential for our everyday technology. Without coltan, we will not have our mobile phones, our laptops, and so forth. Let me put it into perspective. Without tungsten, which comes from Congo, your mobile phone will not vibrate. Without coltan, your BlackBerry simply, or your iPhone or iPad, simply would not work. So without natural resources from that country, we will not have the technology that we have. And then the fourth one is institutional failure. So the institutions of the state simply no longer exist. They no longer function. So in terms of addressing those crises, so the rapes and the killings and everything else are happening because of those 4 major issues. And those 4 major issues, 2 of them can be addressed on the ground, by the Congolese on the ground, but 2 of them can be addressed from those of us in this side of the world. And the 2 that can be addressed from those of us in this side of the world are impunity and illicit trade of minerals. Impunity in the sense that we can make it impossible for a warlord, someone who has killed thousands of people in Congo, to then come to Europe to shop, or to send his wife or girlfriend or brothers or sister to the shopping in Paris or London and so forth. So we can type impunity in that sense. And the second one, which is incredibly essential, is illicit trade of minerals or blood minerals. So we can force our government, companies, our networks and so forth essentially to stop buying blood minerals. Now this is an issue which we have been working on for the past 5 years, and we are not alone. There are dozens of other NGOs in Britain who have done fantastic work on this, and notably Global Witness and Christian Aid. And 2 months ago, something happened, something amazing. For the first time, the EU has decided to open something which they called a consortium, to sort of talking to different people to see what they can do, what kind of laws they can adopt or legislate in terms of addressing the sales of blood minerals from Congo. So this is where all of us come in, because Britain alone, because the EU is a continent and people trade and all of that, Britain alone cannot legislate on natural resources on Congo, or France alone cannot do anything. So you need the entire EU to do something on this issue. So this is where you come in. So essentially today, what we would like you to do, I've got a couple of things with me. If you could just pass around. Please, this one is pass around. So what we've done is, 2 days ago we've been talking to a couple of people in the British Parliament, and a former minister, this gentleman by the name of Peter Hain, he's a South African guy. He was a minister under Tony Blair. We are working with him and a few others. So we have tabled a parliamentary motions, which is printed on one of those papers. And so that's to give an idea of what's going on. But what we really want you to do is essentially one thing. We need you to get involved, in the sense of you need to write, if you can, and there is a sample letter which is printed on that paper, to your parliamentarian, ask him to sign the motion, the parliamentary motion, which is printed on the same paper, and then if you have sometimes also write to the Prime Minister, to the Foreign Secretary. So as many people as you can possibly mobilize to write and raise voices and opinions on this issue, the more chances we have of essentially sort of, pushing the EU into adopting some sort of legislations on this issue. It's far easier to come and talk about, the statistics, and I don't want to dwell on the statistics. I want to deal on the Russian side of the issues. So campaigning is the difficult task. So I really, really hope that you would find it in you, the time to do something. And if you want to know more, to get involved, please reach out to me. Emma has my contact details, and I would love to talk to you guys more. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.